Come on. Come on. Oh, hey there, Wastelanders. It's Brother Mike. Thank you for joining me today. I'm actually on my way to see my girl Tulip in the underworld right now. If you want to come and join me, then yeah, come on, let's go. You've never been to the underworld? You know, where all the ghouls are at? You know, it's kind of where they stay so they're not prosecuted here in the capital wasteland? You, you've never been? You don't know what a ghoul is? Alright, come on, let's go. Alright, a few ground rules before we go in here. Don't stare at anyone for too long, and do not talk to Tulip. She is mine, alright? But, that's pretty much it. Don't stare, don't mess with the robot. I don't really know what's going on with him. I don't think he works all too well. But, before we go in, these are not feral ghouls. And you may be saying, well, what's the difference between a ghoul and a feral ghoul? Well, a feral ghoul is a ghoul who has pretty much lost their sanity. And the only thing left is their instinctual desire to eat and survive. And so they kind of attack anyone that they see. Besides other ghouls, of course, but you don't have to worry. These ghouls aren't going to go feral. At least, I don't think they will. And if they do, we'll take care of them then. But just remember, ghouls are people too. So, come on. Let's go in. Hey, so welcome to the underworld. Don't be worried about this crazy statue behind me. I don't really even know what it's doing here. It's kind of creepy, and I kind of just ignore it. But ghouls, they're people too. I know that may be controversial, but ghouls are actually one of the last reminders of the old world that we have. And they carry some of its secrets as well. I mean, almost every single ghoul that you come across in the wasteland has a story to tell. Even if they were recently transformed into a ghoul, or if they've been a ghoul for 200 years, every ghoul has their own story. Where they came from, how they became a ghoul, and the biggest part is the knowledge that they hold from living such a long time. Now, Brother Mike, how do they live so long? Well, we're actually in the place where the foremost studies in ghouls have been, and to be honest, they haven't learned that much. The doctor here thinks that they can revert them, but do they really want to be reverted at the end of the day? Do they want to just turn back into normal people and give up this gift of potentially living forever? Or does the weight of the way they look, how they're perceived, and these predetermined connotations about them that make them not really allowed in most big settlements? Because at the end of the day, a ghoul and the feral ghoul are only just a few steps away from each other. But first, I need to stop by, see my girl Tulip, so just give me 1 second and I'm gonna go talk to her. Just stay right here, please, alright? Hey, did you get some jet in? I'm all out. I just need a few more. I know I'm late on payments, but baby, you can trust me. I know. I love you too, baby. Hey, you're the most beautiful girl in the wasteland. I mean that. And, you know, so what you don't have a nose? I think you're fine. I think you're beautiful. She's beautiful, right? What did you say about her? You don't think this lady's beautiful? Are you kidding me? This absolute fine dine. I mean, I don't even have words for this lady. She's so beautiful. You know what? Let's go see the doctor. I've had enough of this. Hey, don't be talking about my girl like that. I know she may smell bad and her skin seems to be rotting away, but it's not her fault. It's actually not any of their faults. Here in the capital wasteland, they have necrotic bugs that eat their dying tissue. And it does smell bad, but they have to maintain them because they could go feral if not unchecked. Now, this is something that we've kind of seen in past areas, but here we hear them talking about it when passing through. And these bugs can actually be a real issue. They eat away the dying skin. They're pretty much parasites. And they also are the reason that they smell so bad. Enough about that. They can't help it. And I know you're saying, but if these parasites are eating away at them, then how do they live for so long? Well, just like super mutants, but not as effective, their cells regenerate faster than they can die, meaning they can theoretically live forever, feral or not. They can live pretty much as long as there's brain activity going on. And even then, when they go feral, it's pretty much just natural instincts at that point. Now, to be honest, we don't really know that much about ghouls, and the doctor we're about to go talk to kind of agrees with that. Now, he has been studying them for years, but we really don't know much about him. We know that the pre-war knew about him, but we'll talk about that when we see the doctor. Come on, let's go see the doctor. Stop staring at everyone, by the way. You're making them uncomfortable. Imagine if a bunch of people came into your house and just started staring at you. No, come on, let's go. Just met my favorite merchant in all of the capital wasteland, and personally my sweetheart, Mrs. Tulip, but let's talk to Dr. Barrows. Now, before we talk to him, yes, he is also a ghoul. Almost everyone around here, besides that random chick right there, is a ghoul. I don't know what she's doing here, but we'll get to her later. But he's been researching ghouls for a long time now, but he hasn't made much progress because we don't really know what makes ghouls tick. At the end of the day, it's up to chance. You could get hit with a lethal dose of radiation and just die. You could maybe go straight feral. Or you could turn into a ghoul and then slowly turn feral. Or you just get blasted into pieces. Who knows? I mean, look at Moira Brown. You know, now, I would never do this. Don't check out my live streams. But if you do blow up Megaton, Moira Brown actually turns into a ghoul. And you can find her here. So yeah, if you ever lost her after, exploding Megaton, just come look in the underworld and you can finish her book for her. So we can talk to Dr. Barrows about ghouls, but all of his really solid information is here on this terminal. So come on, let's dive in, let's talk about it, and let's try and see how ghouls really tick. Or are all of these just inferences based off of studying them? Come on, let's check it out. Let's check it out. And some of the stuff he writes down is stuff that we already know, but in more science terms. So he's been studying ghouls for literally over 70 to 100 years potentially. And pretty much what he's dumbed it down to is that there is an X factor, some gene that allows when you are heavily irradiated to basically increase the amount of oxygen that gets to your brain and other vital organs, yet not enough to preserve skin. So the brain and most other appendages are intact, but the skin, it's just not enough oxygen for the skin, compared to super mutants where they literally can live indefinitely because their cells are replenishing faster than they're dying. And in the feral portion, he basically states that it seems that when ghouls are left alone or ostracized or basically antisocial, there's more chance that they could become feral. Or really anything that could make it so the higher kind of thinking portions of their brain deteriorate and the post-human subject becomes increasingly hostile, basically giving in to their natural animalistic ways. And after reading this, we learn a lot about them, but this isn't set in stone fact. These are observations made by a man who's just merely observing them, seeing how they tick. There could be more to it, like how, if we go to the Dunwich building, in the basement, we find an obelisk. And after reading some holotapes and some terminals and going back to Far Harbor, I'm going to do a whole video about the Dunwich soon, so we'll go over that there. Stay tuned. But we see this obelisk slowly turn people into feral ghouls. Now, this is a whole lot different. There isn't that much radiation down here. So, is radiation really the play in what makes ghouls tick? Or is there something more sinister? And by sinister, I mean something more eldritch. Some force that condemns certain people. Now, do I believe this? Maybe. Do I think that becoming a ghoul may have connection to these otherworldly beings, these gods among men, or as some think, these demons among men, these disgusting demonic forms that push and play with certain aspects of the wasteland? I mean, in Fallout 4, going through the Dunwich mines, we start having flashbacks of them literally sacrificing people. Now, we don't find many ghouls there, but here, it's swarmed with ghouls. So, what's going on? Is there a possibility that ghouls are not only from radiation, and that this gift of becoming a ghoul is actually a curse? Well, a lot of ghouls in the wasteland believe it's a curse, but I don't think it is. And I don't think we should discriminate ghouls just based on how they look and what they could turn into, because I can judge you on the way that you look and the actions that you may take in the future. And am I going to judge you for dying? No. So why should we judge ghouls for turning feral? Now, you may say, oh, Brother Mike, you're a ghoul sympathizer? Yes. Ghouls are people too. And to be honest, ghouls are our future. Now, I'm not saying we're all destined to become ghouls, but the knowledge that these ghouls have, especially some of the ghouls that are over 200 years old, being around for 200 years, you learn a lot. You get hurt a lot, you get pushed around, you go into new jobs, but one thing that stays with you is your memory of the old world. And I think that's why people don't like ghouls so much, because ghouls are the embodiment of the wasteland. They're the embodiment of war never changes. Yes, war may never change. People stay, people change, but at the end of the day, these ghouls may hold all the secrets to rebuilding the wasteland. So, next time you run into a ghoul, don't discriminate. Help them out. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know how long they've been trying to survive out here. And if anything, we need to hold ghouls to a higher standard. These people can live almost forever. Now, with some new revelations in the Fallout show that may not be fully true. Some ghouls, and I am heavily emphasizing some ghouls, seem to use a drug to stave off the effects of feralization. Now, other ghouls don't have to do that. We know ghouls love jet, they love drugs, and they also have a bigger tolerance to drugs, needing them to take more drugs, more alcohol. And that's a reason why a lot of the ghouls that we find in the wasteland are addicts. Now, they never tell us what this drug actually is, but I have a few theories based on this drug that Cooper Howard, or the Ghoul, takes within the show. Now, let's think back pre-war, because obviously the drugs he's taking still have their prescription lettering and labeling on it, and obviously can't be produced by how the Ghoul treasures each vial. So, what do these vials do? And I think it's a lot more simple than we think. I don't think it's this new drug made. I don't think it's the fix from Fallout 76. What I think it is actually dementia and Alzheimer medication. Now, just like in real life, if you're prescribed with one of these horrible illnesses, they try and help you with it. They try and have drugs help you keep that edge. And so, would it be too far to say that the Ghoul and some other ghouls found out that taking this starves off the effects of feralization? And I think it's very likely, because the Ghoul is the only other Ghoul we have seen besides his friend, who he unfortunately kills, that takes this stuff. Now, this may be a closely guarded secret by some ghouls, because if all ghouls knew that there was a drug that could push off these effects of feralization, then everyone would be taking it. And soon enough, there wouldn't be any left in the wasteland. And so, the ghouls that we see are the ones that have been able to tough it out. And ghouls like Cooper Howard, who have to take this so they don't go feral. But now, with some stuff that happened in Season 2, the ghoul gets impaled, leaving him with this huge ghoul hole in his chest. Now, he's stuck on this pole for hours and hours, a whole day, until a super mutant takes him off. And he drags him back to this church that he lives at. We don't know exactly where this church is. And he shoves uranium inside of Cooper Howard's ghoul hole. And for the rest of the season, we don't see the ghoul needing that medication anymore. So, did we possibly find a way to completely eradicate becoming a feral ghoul? And on top of this, is this uranium inside of Cooper Howard's ghoul hole gonna cause him to turn into a glowing one, potentially? Could we potentially see Cooper Howard have glowing one abilities? Now, here's where the speculation starts. I think it would be epic if in the next season the ghoul stumbles on a place where a bunch of these ghouls were just feral ghouls were just killed, and they start to attack Cooper Howard, and he for some reason instinctually lets out a scream, and slowly all the ghouls around him start to stand up and attack again. I think that'd be sick. Now, do I think they're gonna go full glowing one with the ghoul? No. Do I think there's a possibility that they could just kind of shrug it off and be like, oh, this is the reason why the ghoul doesn't have to take that medication anymore. We're retconning the medication. I don't know. But that's my 2 thoughts on it. And if you have any more questions about ghouls, let me know down below. And before we end today's broadcast, I just want you guys to remember that ghouls are people too. They feel, they have emotions, they cry, and they are people too. And at the end of the day, they may be the only ones to truly save us. They're the only ones to keep our stories going, to keep the idea of the old world present. And just because of the way they look doesn't mean that we should prosecute them because of it. So, with all of that being said, I thank you guys so much for joining me. And I want to thank you guys once again for 1,325 subscribers. You guys are all amazing. I appreciate, and I don't have words to thank you guys. Thank you so much. I love making these videos for you. And if you want to see me go over something in the future, let me know down below. If you want to debate about anything, let's debate about it in the comments. And if you're looking for a like-minded place to talk about Fallout with other Fallout-minded individuals, then why don't you consider joining the Discord and subscribing? So, with all of that being said, you don't forget, you are cared for, you are loved, and you stay safe out there, Wastelanders.